Good morning, evening, or afternoon. I hope you are well. Have you ever even heard of indie RPG horror games? Back in the early 2010s, they were a big thing, but it seems everyone forgot about them now. And those who do remember will cite games like Ib, Mad Fodder, or The Witch's House, which are all great games, but, other games came out after 2012, you know? And one of those games, one of my favorite game, is Hello Charlotte. It is a messy, gruesome tale filled with sci-fi reference, philosophy, and deeply messed up characters. But it's fun, most times. I always wanted to make more people know of this strange gem of a trilogy, so I decided to make a character deep dive video on the wonderful characters of this game, similar to the ones I make about the Pandora Hearts characters. Sadly, Hello Charlotte is a dreadfully underrated game, even for an indie horror RPG. It is not for everyone, far from it, but most who found it will never forget it. And since the goal of this video is to convince more people to play it, I will not spoil anything of the main plot. That is why I have chosen Bennett for this first character deep dive. Since he is a side character, I can tell you all about him without getting too much into the main plot. And so, here we go. A warning. Hello Charlotte may look cute, but this game talks about heavy topics, such as mental illness, addiction, self-harming, ending one's self, and has a lot of gore and body horror imagery. If these are not what you are looking for, please click away. And have a nice rest of your day. Warning over. Let us begin with a small summary of Hello Charlotte. In this game, you control Charlotte, a nice young girl who lives in what is called the house, without her parents. But she is not alone. In her basement reside the alien scientist Dr. Huxley, his alien workers, and the demon Krampus, brainwashed and turned into a butler. No, I swear, this is a dark game with dark topics. Bennett is one of the alien worker of Dr. Huxley, the most loyal and disastrous one. Bennett is both the comic relief and one of the most tragic characters of the trilogy, which is actually more common than you'd think. He lives in the basement with the other alien workers and helps Dr. Huxley at his interdimensional clinic. He is usually a cheerful guy who loves eating soap, watching soap operas on TV, and murder. He has little regards for others and his own safety, but is fun to be around when he had his soap. He is an alien, so he's bound to do weird things. Apparently, on his planet, soap is a kind of drug that suppresses your pain and intellect and makes you hyperactive. And Bennett is addicted to it. But that means the chipper and ecstatic Bennett we know is only the intoxicated one. So what is he like without the soap? When we finally meet Bennett sober, he is cranky, easily angered, and all in all, in a real bad mood. He's nothing like his usual cheery, murderous self. It is truly sad to see him in such a state. It also tells us that the happiness he portrays ordinarily is artificial. How did it come to this? Bennett is from a planet called Uberia, where two races live, the humans and the Overmans. Overmans are superior beings that enslave the human. Humans are split into 5 categories. A-types, that use their intelligence to participate in intelligence tests and parapsychology. B-types, that are used in commercials and as cosmetic tester. C-types, that are the livestock. D-types, that work in dangerous environments, such as nuclear stations. And E-types, that are used as pets. Bennett was born a B-type. His job was to test cosmetic products, mostly nutritional soap. He was good at it, and worked hard so he could be promoted to a higher rank. He believed he could somehow be promoted to the A-types, but instead he was promoted from cosmetic testing to medical testing. As a medical tester, he was repeatedly infected with diseases and cured, over and over and over again, until one day, when he was infected by an incurable disease, eye plague. A skin disease that makes eye grow on your skin and internal organs. You cannot see from these eyes, but you feel them. Have you ever had something in your eye? Now imagine the feeling of hundreds of eyes on your skin and organs, constantly being rubbed and scraped. Not very comfortable, to say the least. As it was an incurable sickness, Bennett was to be disposed of. But then came Dr. Henry Huxley, who purchased the sick boy, saying he was working on a cure for eye plague and needed him for experiments. That is how Bennett became an experiment and worker of Dr. Huxley. The doctor did cure his eye plague eventually, although some of it never truly went away, and it still causes him great pain. Dr. Huxley also taught Bennett how to read and write, and about science. But don't go thinking this all turns into some wholesome tale. Huxley only taught Bennett all these things to prove his thesis, that human and overmen of Uberia are biologically the same. The overmen always considered themselves the superior race, but no, the two races are no different at all. It's awful to realize that even the kind things Dr. Huxley did were, in the end, only for his own sake. Of course, the doctor's discoveries were not well seen by the public, and he had to flee his planet with his crew, which is how the alien gang ended up in Charlotte's basement. Bennett is both eternally grateful to the doctor and knows full well the man doesn't have good intention regarding him. He has a better life now, but he's still somebody's plaything. And with Dr. Huxley descending more and more into madness, the future seems bleak. So, to recap, Bennett is an ex-human test subject that has been rescued by a mad scientist that has no consideration for him, and the only way he can have a semblance of happiness is by taking copious amount of soap that will make him a happy brain-dead idiot. That way, he won't give in to his trauma or the pain from his illness. Yay! At least he has friends? Bennett has about 2 real friends. Charlotte is not one of them. I do think they get along well, but I don't believe it's a truly deep friendship. One of his friends is Florence. She's a co-worker with a similar background. Florence was also a B-type from Uberia. She was a prosthetic tester. Her limbs were cut off and new prosthetics were installed every day, but Dr. Huxley rescued her from her fate. She says that for a while she was only a talking torso, and Bennett had to take care of her. I think that's truly the worst part. But thanks to their similar experience and the fact that they work together a lot, they have gotten pretty close, which is nice to see. Although Florence worries about Bennett's addiction, but she also understands how it came to be, so she doesn't try to stop him. What could be called the best friend of Bennett is Felix Honecker, the nephew of Dr. Huxley. Felix is a young boy passionate about science and eager to prove himself to his uncle. He can get carried away with his experiments and put himself in danger, but mostly he's the sanest character of the entire game series. Felix is also probably the one who's been the nicest to Bennett throughout his life. He patches him up when he gets hurt, scolds him for being careless of his own safety, and he just cares. Bennett comments that Felix is a bit like how Huxley used to be, which tells us that the doctor used to be more caring before his madness got a hold of him. It is true Felix finds Bennett exhausting at times, but who wouldn't? Mostly he's a great friend to the blonde maniac, and is probably one of the only person who ever truly cared about him. Too bad it can't last. Okay, this next section is a spoiler. and one that impacts the main plot of the game. If you liked what you heard so far and want to give the game a try, please do so. But if you want a spoiler-free experience, I suggest you click off the video right now. In any case, if you have watched this far, that means I showed you that Hello Charlotte exists. And that was my main goal. Alright, let's get into it, spoilers and all. So Felix Honecker is a clone. More specifically, Huxley's clone. The mad scientist is getting older, and he's trying to find a way to become somewhat immortal. And that is how he came to make Felix. Sadly, Felix is not well made, and his body doesn't last very long. And so, every few months, Felix Honecker dies and is replaced by another Felix Honecker fresh out of the cloning tank. His memory is saved and transferred to the next vessel, so ultimately, for everyone around him, nothing changes. But the Felix Honecker they loved and worked with for the past few months is dead. There's nothing changing that. So you could just ignore it all, spend your days with Felix, avoiding thinking about it, and it will be all the same to you. But that's not what Bennett chooses to do. In Heaven's Gate, the visual novel of Hello Charlotte, we can see a few little bonus scenes of Bennett and Felix chatting together. One of those scenes is during Felix's last night alive. Of course, he will immediately be replaced by another clone the next day. But at that instant, Bennett declares that he won't become friends with the next Felix Honecker. You'd think that doesn't make sense. Felix's clone is a perfect copy, memory and all. Why not continue their friendship where they left off? But that would prove that Felix is replaceable. The only way Bennett can acknowledge that Felix existed and had a positive impact on him, that he mattered, is by refusing to befriend his clone. It's ultimately very tragic, because that means he lost his best friend, even though he's standing right next to him. And it's even more surprising since Bennett admits himself that he's not sure he can actually feel real emotions at this point because of everything that happened to him. And yet, he decided to care about Felix Honecker in his own little weird way. And so, yeah, that is who Bennett from Hello Charlotte is. A big mess. But somehow, between his trauma, his chronic pain, his addiction, his love of dumb TV shows, and his friend, he found some sort of balance. And that's pretty good. And imagine, this is the B-plot of the games. We haven't even touched upon Charlotte and her puppeteer and the rotting oracle she has in her head. Yeah, this game is a lot. You might also have spotted the resemblance Bennett's story has to A Brave New World from Aldous Huxley. Yeah, Etherain, the game creator, loves to borrow from sci-fi novels. And yes, Dr. Huxley's name is a nod to that. And so is Felix Honecker's, although her world is different enough from the novel, so I'd consider it an homage rather than plagiarism. I truly love these games, and I really hope they get more well known in the future. And to do so, I want to do more videos like this about other characters. Who would you like to see next? You can tell me in the comments. You can also like and subscribe while you're down there. And if you like the little doodle in the thumbnail, I have more art on my Instagram. For my poor Pandora Hearts fan who are so lost watching this, I promise I'll get on the next PH character deep dive very soon. Alright, well, goodbye.